Hey there, it's Mike again with the split bus. I wanted to do a video about the gas tank upgrade that I did. So this is the 1966 split bus, and I have basically taken out the entire engine, transaxle, and upgraded the gas tank to be 15 gallons instead of 10 gallons. So I have some pictures of that I'll put in the video. But I wanted to show when I did that project, I basically, you can see in here, what I did is, that is a bay window tank back there. It's a little hard to see, I think. But the tank, you have to kind of hammer out that bottom center part in order to get it to fit. And then what I did is, there's a breather tube at the very top, and what that does is, that's this top hose here. That top hose goes into the filler tube. Now the filler tube here, I cut it off of the 10-gallon tank, and then you can see there it has the rubber clips there. Now when you put the rubber clips in there for a split bus, it no longer has the support that you need to connect that to the filler tube. So what I did is, I actually took that filler tube and I made almost like a tripod in there of supports. So you can see I have 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. That's not original. That holds that filler tube in place here from the body metal as it goes down into the rubber clamp. So there were some interesting things that happened. Number one is, since it's a bay window fuel tank, I had to get a bay window fuel sensor. Fuel sensor, of course, goes into the middle of the fuel tank. And what I did is, I have an access panel here. If I take off these 6 screws, I can actually get to that. But that sensor, you know, you send a little bit of electrical current through the gas tank, and it sends the resistance to your fuel gauge here. This is the original fuel gauge, which was a 6-volt fuel gauge, and I thought, what is that fuel, what is that resistance, what is the ohms range going to be, and will it match this 6-volt? It's a 12-volt upgraded bus. So what I did is, I bought this one. You can see that is a VD. It's a new bus fuel gauge, and I hooked that up. And the good thing about that one is that when you turn on the car, it has a very smooth dial, and it doesn't jiggle around. And this old one jiggles all over the place, but of course this old one turns out to be incredibly accurate, whereas this one wasn't working very well. So I just kept with the old one. The other thing that happened, and I'm going to bring these 3 fuel caps over. So I wound up settling for this fuel cap, which is a vented fuel cap. Let's see the inside of that one. It's a metal vented fuel cap. Basically, when I would go around corners fast, I would get some fuel leakage that would come in through the air here. That would get pumped in through my air cool system, and it would basically pump gas vapor into my where the heater comes out here. And I was shaking my head, how could I possibly fix that? And I Googled this, and of course this is the original one, and you can see I drilled a little hole in that thinking, oh, maybe that'll work, because I had pressure issues as well, where I would fill up the fuel tank really full, and I would get home from the gas station and it would leak out a bunch of gas by my tire, and just because of weird pressure things. So I got a replacement, this one. Same thing, hard left turn. I would get a lot of fuel smell, and if I filled it really full and there was some kind of weird temperature change, or the engine was hot and then cooled down or something, I would get a puddle, you know, about a 2.5 foot puddle of gas around my back right tire. So I ordered one of these also, and this is the same thing, but since it has a plastic vent, I was like, in my book plastic is garbage, so I'm sticking with the one that has the metal vents, because I believe both of these are the same basic principle, in that it has a little ball in there or something, which if fuel comes slamming against this, it actually doesn't let the fuel out. So that hard left turn no longer smells like gas. I was very happy once that was fixed. So, but that, as I mentioned, the other mystery was that I would fill up this fuel tank with 15 gallons. And I had the vent here. This is the vent. Of course, the vent comes out of there, goes into the filler tank here above where you put the nozzle. So in theory, as you fill it up higher and higher, the air comes out of the top of the tank, goes into the top of the filler nozzle, and the air can come out and you can fill the tank all the way. But, you know, I have a little, some of the things, like I have a little dip here in this. I thought, well, maybe there's fuel in there. I didn't know exactly what was going on. But that all seemed to get fixed when I used this vent cap, because I believe it leaves it nice and vented all the time, except that if the fuel comes and hits it, it doesn't let anything out. So the pressure is very stable in there. It no longer builds up pressure. I no longer get a puddle of fuel down by the fuel tank. So, in any case, that was my experience with the fuel tank upgrade. And, you know, I never really fill it with 15 gallons. I seem to get like maybe 10, 11, 12, something like that. But it is way better. You get a longer range, and so I'm happy about that. All right. Talk to you guys later.